All right, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking an exclusive and honestly, deeply fascinating architectural tour straight through an ancient text. We're going to explore the ultimate mythological mansion of Vaisravana, or as you probably know him better, Kuvera, the Lord of Treasures. If you've ever found yourself wondering exactly how ancient texts visualized the absolute peak of luxury, power, and cosmic architecture, well, you're in the right place. We're going to break down the exact descriptions from the source material and figure out what it actually takes to build an assembly hall for the single richest being in the universe. So here's our itinerary for today's tour. We're going to start with the floating mansion, then head inside the celestial assembly, meet the divine entertainers, check out the ultimate VIP guest list, and wrap things up with mountains and jewels literally personified. Okay, let's jump right into part 1, the floating mansion. Ancient sources record this mansion as being 100 yojanas in length and 70 in breadth. But here's the real kicker. This thing wasn't built with bricks and mortar over generations. Not at all. It was constructed purely through the ascetic power of Vaisravana himself. It's literally a physical manifestation of his spiritual and cosmic weight. Now, to really wrap our heads around that, we need to understand the scale we're dealing with. A yojana is an ancient measure used for, well, massive cosmic distances. So when we hear that this Sabha, this magnificent assembly house, is 100 by 70 yojanas, we are not talking about a big palace on the hill. We are essentially talking about a structure the size of a planet. And get this, it doesn't even sit on the ground. Supported by celestial gangs known as guhikas, the text paints this incredibly vivid picture of a colossal structure attached to the firmament. It basically resembles these massive peaks of white clouds, just completely floating up there in the air, which just perfectly captures the sheer, unadulterated opulence of the Lord of Treasures. I mean, the exterior of this floating planet-sized mansion literally outshines the moon. It's painted with celestial gold, and the text explicitly notes it's decked out with streaks of lightning. Just think about that design choice for a second. Utilizing actual lightning as architectural decoration, it sets a tone of just immense, untouchable wealth. All right, moving right along to part 2, inside the celestial assembly. So right at the center of it all sits King Vaisravana himself. The text details his throne as this excellent seat, quite literally as bright as the sun, and covered with the finest celestial carpets. He's dressed in unparalleled luxury, rocking these excellent robes, costly ornaments, brilliant earrings, and he's surrounded by his 1,000 wives. This is the absolute, undisputed focal point of wealth. What I really love here is how the ancient authors leaned into the sensory details. You know, it's not just about what you see, it's about the whole vibe, what you feel and smell. You can almost feel the cooling breezes carrying the sweet fragrance of extensive jasmine plantations. There are tall mandara forests growing right there inside the assembly, and fresh lotuses constantly brought in from the river Alaka to minister to the king's pleasure. It is a perfectly curated, indoor ecosystem of pure luxury. Next up, part 3, the divine entertainers. Obviously, an assembly this grand needs entertainment to match. Instead of dragging you through the dense list of every single name, just know that entire tribes of Apsaras and Gandharvas fill this mansion. You've got famous names like Mr. Casey, Ramba, Urvasi, and Manaka, alongside thousands of others, using their immense musical skill to fill the halls with constant, echoing notes of celestial sweetness. But they aren't alone. Alongside the musicians, there is a massive, highly structured workforce. We're talking hundreds of thousands of Yakshas and specific tribes like the Kinnaras, Naras, and Guhyakas constantly waiting upon Kuvera. This isn't just a fancy palace. It's a functioning, bustling headquarters for the ultimate Lord of Wealth, fully staffed 24/7. Which brings us to part 4, the ultimate VIP guest list. This guest list represents absolute cosmic royalty. The goddess of wealth herself, Lakshmi, actually stays there permanently. We also find Kuvera's son Nella Kuvera, various celestial Rishis, the virtuous Vibhishana, and even the narrator of the ancient text himself, Narada, dropping in all the time. But honestly, the crucial takeaway here is this wild juxtaposition. On one hand, we have this beautifully curated, jasmine-scented, music-filled court of Kuvera. And sitting right next to it, the terrifying, chaotic retinue of his friend, the god Siva, who drops by for frequent visits. Because when Shiva visits, he definitely does not travel light. He brings hundreds of thousands of spirits, and they are described in incredibly frightful terms. We're talking dwarfish, fierce-looking, hunchbacked beings with blood-red eyes. They're armed, howling frightful yells, moving at the speed of wind, and literally feeding on fat and flesh. It injects this intense, violent, chaotic energy straight into the middle of this beautiful, serene space. Yet, right in the center of all that fierce chaos sits the three-eyed Mahadeva, Shiva himself, alongside the ever-cheerful, tireless goddess Parvati. And they aren't there to make war. They literally just visit to hang out at the mansion and enjoy a peaceful friendship with the Lord of Treasures. It's such an amazing dynamic, right? The ultimate destructive cosmic force just enjoying a casual hangout in the ultimate palace of wealth. Finally, let's wrap up with Part 5, Mountains and Jewels Personified. This is where the text really pushes the boundaries of imagination. It explains that inanimate wonders actually take on human form just to show respect. Massive mountain ranges, like the Himalayas, Meru, and Kailasa, alongside the ultimate princes of gems, literally transform into personified human forms as worshippers and attendees. All the jewels of the earth become living, breathing servants. The sheer gravitational pull of Kuvera's wealth commands the very geography of the earth to bow down. And rounding out this impossibly grand gathering, the whole shebang includes spirits with arrowy ears and sharp, pointed mouths, demonic Rakshasa chiefs, and the mighty, deep-roaring white bull of Shiva. It is a crowded, loud, fragrant, dazzling, and frankly terrifying space all at once. So, to wrap up this explainer, I want you to think about what this incredible synthesis actually reveals about absolute power. The ancient authors didn't just hand us a boring ledger of gold and silver. They used wild, vivid contrasts. Peaceful lotus flowers right next to flesh-eating spirits, and an inanimate mountains walking as men, to help us conceptualize what true infinite cosmic power feels like. It's a masterful piece of ancient world-building that leaves us completely in awe of the Lord of Treasures. Thanks for joining me on this tour, and keep exploring how these ancient texts shape our understanding of the universe.